Passport office. It was a typical Monday morning, and I had an appointment at the passport office. I woke up early to ensure that I would not be late for my appointment. As I got dressed, I made sure to double check all the documents I needed to bring with me. I had already booked my passport appointment online a few weeks ago. The process was relatively easy, and I had received a confirmation email with all the necessary information about my appointment. I had also read through the frequently asked questions on the General Directorate of Passports website, which was incredibly helpful. I arrived at the passport office a few minutes before my appointment. The building was large and modern, with security personnel standing outside to ensure the safety of everyone entering the premises. Once I got inside, I noticed a long queue of people waiting to be served. However, as I had an appointment, I was able to bypass the queue and head straight to the relevant counter. "Good morning," I greeted the officer at the counter. "I have an appointment for 9 a.m. "Good morning. Please provide me with your documents," replied the officer. I handed over my documents, and the officer began to review them. "Everything seems to be in order," he said, "but we have received a lot of applications recently, and the processing time has increased. It may take a few weeks for your passport to be ready." I was a little disappointed by the news, but I understood that the passport office must have been under a lot of pressure due to the pandemic. "Is there anything else I need to know?" I asked. "Yes," replied the officer. "You can track the progress of your application online, and we will notify you once your passport is ready for collection. Please ensure you have the necessary identification documents when collecting your passport." "Thank you," I said. "I will keep that in mind." As I left the counter, I noticed a sign advertising post office passport services. I had heard that they offered an expedited service, so I approached the counter to inquire. "Good morning," I said to the officer at the post office passport services counter. "Can you tell me more about your service?" "Good morning," replied the officer. "We offer a same-day service for those who need their passport urgently. However, this service is only available for certain categories of applicants, such as those traveling due to a family emergency or for work reasons." "I see," I said. "Thank you for letting me know." As I made my way out of the building, I couldn't help but think about the number of people I had seen waiting in the queue. I had heard that the passport office had introduced a new system to reduce wait times, but it seemed like more needed to be done. Later that day, I decided to call the passport office's contact number to ask about the new system. "Hello, how may I assist you?" asked the operator. "Hello," I said. "I was wondering if you could tell me more about the new system the passport office has introduced to reduce wait times." "Sure," replied the operator. The new system involves pre-screening applications before applicants come to the passport office. This way, we can ensure that all the necessary documents are provided, and there are no issues that may cause delays. Applicants are also given a specific time slot to come to the passport office, so they don't have to wait in long queues. That sounds great, I said. Thank you for letting me know. Overall, my experience at the passport office was a positive one. Although the processing time for my application may take longer than usual, the officers were polite and helpful, and I felt reassured that my application was in good hands. The new system introduced by the passport office to reduce wait times also sounded promising. It was clear that the passport office was doing its best to improve the application process for everyone. A few weeks later, I received an email notifying me that my passport was ready for collection. I made sure to bring along the necessary identification documents and headed back to the passport office. This time, the process was much smoother, as I had pre-booked my collection slot online. I didn't have to wait in any queues. I simply approached the counter, showed my identification, and received my new passport. "Thank you for your service," I said to the officer. "You're welcome," replied the officer with a smile. "Enjoy your travels." I left the passport office feeling relieved and grateful. The whole process had been relatively stress-free, and I was impressed with the level of professionalism displayed by the officers. Thanks. As I walked out of the building, I noticed a few people waiting outside. I approached one of them and asked if they needed any help. "I have been waiting here for over an hour," said the woman. "I needed to renew my passport, but the queue is moving so slowly." I remembered how long the queues had been during my last visit, and I sympathized with her frustration. "Have you tried pre-screening your application online?" I asked. "No," she replied. "I didn't know that was an option." I explained the process to her and gave her the General Directorate of Passport's website address. She thanked me and said she would try it out. As I walked away, I couldn't help but think about how helpful it would be if more people knew about the new system. The passport office had clearly put a lot of effort into improving the application process, and it would be a shame if people were still waiting in long queues unnecessarily. Overall, my experience at the passport office was a positive one. I had learned a lot about the application process and had witnessed firsthand the dedication of the officers. Although there were still some improvements that could be made, it was clear that the passport office was constantly striving to provide a better service for its customers. As I left the building, clutching my new passport, I couldn't help but feel excited about all the adventures that lay ahead. Thanks to the passport office, I was now ready to explore the world once again. The end. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends and family. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.